think it's working. Yay. Okay, yay, done. Woo! I can work a computer today. Okay, I think we are we, Steve Rose not joining us as he is apparently at a show. So I think we're all present and accounted for.
All right. Okay, so one of the things we wanted to start off with on here was how you were currently using the system prior to the upgrade so that I can make sure that we address your specific tasks during the training.
Yes. So I think overall we use it as a database, you know, where all of our information is for the people that we're talking to. We record conversations and emails; those go into that. We use it for mail merge documents, which we talked about yesterday. And Tom and Phil and Jeff and Don, how else are you using Sales Logic?
For quotations.
Quotes.
Yeah, and follow-ups.
So you would be like activities and
follow-ups using the calendar, Phil?
Yeah, we're using the calendar to put in follow-ups and on the quotes that we do, and then you know, if we need to call somebody or, you know, we need a reminder to do that, we put that in there as well.
Okay. Tom?
Mine, I pretty much schedule my daily activities completely through there. Currently in Sales Logic, I'm scheduled out each day activities full out to like May 20th, I think I'm scheduled out to at present. So on a daily basis, pretty much that'll be a combination of potential leads, following up on quotes, also keeping in touch calls. Also, since I deal with not only the salespeople at my customers, but also quite often the marketing and purchasing with them, I make sure that they are up to date on any blonder tongue materials and any questions they may have answered as well, need to answer as well.
Okay. So pretty standard stuff. Tasks of the day are, you know, setting up your new activities, completing ones that you have completed, following through with your notes and emails, and just generally how to navigate through the new system because you are moving from a LAN to a web. So there is a little bit of functional changes, but a lot of similarities too. So I don't think it's going to be a big transition. It's just understanding how the web client differs from the LAN client. So I'll be directing the majority of my work through that. So to get you familiar with the layout. So basically my agenda that I have here is going to fit your needs pretty good. One thing that nobody has really spoken to is the usage of opportunities. I know you have quotes, and quotes can be created independent from an opportunity. So you do not have to have an opportunity, but what an opportunity does is it allows you to work with your forecasting and set a specific sales process, but that's something we can definitely address later. So this initial is just to give you a layout of the system and working with it. So I'm going to get started. And so the first thing we're going to review is just generally the workspace, right? Mm-hmm. And I do want to say, at any time, let me know if there's something you want me to dig into a little deeper, or if you have any questions. If we have things that we want to table for later, you know, if I need to get an answer for something, that type of thing, I'll write it down and we'll follow back up with it either at the end of the meeting or, you know, through email or just communications in general. So don't hesitate to say, wait a minute, could you do that again? Okay? Anybody put their hand up if they have any questions. All right. So understanding the workspace is making sure that you can log in and what it's all going to look like, and installing your base integration, which is how your emails and your Office programs work with the system. Okay, so I'm going to sign off and show you what the sign-in page looks like. So Liz and John will give you your URL. So this is a browser. It is compatible for the Outlook integration. You definitely want to use, or mail merge, you definitely want to use Internet Explorer. Now you can use Firefox and Chrome, but some of your pieces that integrate with Office will not work. So it will work web page wise, but some of those other, just know that some of the others will not work as smoothly. So I recommend Internet Explorer. So when you come in, you're going to be using.
I'm sorry, what are the downfalls with Chrome?
The downfalls for what?
With Chrome?
Oh, Chrome. The same thing, mail merge with Office. So when you create your quotes or your documents, that's not going to work through Chrome.
Okay.
Okay. Pages, activities, notes, all that stuff will work. It's just that mail merge will not. It's limited to Internet Explorer. So when you first come in, this is what it's going to look like. They were talking about maybe making this specific to your system. So I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but initially this is what you're going to see. So you're just going to do a sign in, just standard login. And when you can choose where you come in when you first log into the system. So those are settings that you can actually determine. So you can come in on the account level, you can come in on the contact level, and that is set up in the tools. And I'll probably send you documentation on that rather than go through it today. Okay, so let me pull up my.
I'm sorry, I have one more question about browsers. What if people have
Okay.
iJunk?
What?
If they have iJunk, like iPhones and, iCrap,
Oh,
how's that going to work?
that would be a mobile. So there is a mobile client that's involved in this also, and I'll be touching on that also. It's just you're still using a browser, and you're still using you use your browser in your mobile device, whatever's dependent on your mobile device, and that will work fine. Again, through a mobile you can't do mail merge. You can only do that on your desktop or laptop.
Okay, but what about Apple computers?
Mac, there is some additional work that has to be done to get it to work on Mac. Most everything will work. I'm not really sure on Mac compatibility for the mail merge. I would have to look that one up. We don't have a whole lot of users that work with Macs.
Okay.
So I would have
We
to.
don't either, but we have a couple.
We have a couple key ones,
I know.
Okay.
That's
And do they
right.
use mail merge? Would they be using the mail merge functionality?
No, probably not. I guess we can work
Okay.
around that.
Yeah, so the rest of it will work fine. It's just that I think there's some issues with the mail merge. I think you have to do a little bit of work to get that to be compatible and actually run through that. So that's something we can address. So
Can
Liz,
I ask?
if you want-
Can I ask who's using a Mac that'll actually be using this InforCRM?
Or potentially.
Oh, potentially, but right now no one's using a Mac, correct?
But I had to ask the question, John, because who knows?
Okay.
And I know a lot of people have iJunk, so including Bob.
Never forget old what's his name.
That's right. Oh, what's his name? The one that signed the wreck.
Okay, so when you first log in for the first time, it allows you, you will go into what is called the dashboard. So if I pull my PDF over a little bit, this is the screenshot of the dashboard, and the dashboard is over here on this welcome, okay? So if you click on the welcome screen, it will actually pull into what is the dashboard, and that is this system here. So what comes up with the dashboard is some common tools right at the beginning. So it will actually give you some cool clues here on right here in the center. You can see how to add a new account, how to add a new contact. So there is some tools here for you to actually get comfortable with the system. And it also gives you some quick links up here, quick actions for scheduling meetings and phone calls, and you can view your open activities. You can insert new accounts and contacts. So it gives you some quick actions up here on the top. There's also some online help. So the system has help files available for you that you can use, and you'll find them pretty much on every page. And what you want to look at for that is up here in the top right-hand corner, you see the question mark, right? And then each page context has context help, and you'll see a smaller question mark down lower, and that's specific to the context on the page. And I'll show you that when we go to the account. So you can see that it gives you a little bit of information here on just some welcome on getting started and some quick reference cards. And you can see the quick reference cards here, and I'll also be sending you some in PDF form. And this recently viewed is actually a list of what you have visited during this session that you have logged in. So it's a temporary view. It refreshes every time you log back in or restart your browser. So this is basically a quick list of where I've been today, okay?
Cool.
So and you will be getting this PDF also, so it'll help you. So if you can see my screen, a little bit bigger. So this is your workspace. So when you first come into the system, okay, you come in and come into your account. So the left-hand side over here, let me get my pointer. The left-hand side over here is considered a navigation bar. And the navigation bar has, they call navigation groups, or we also call them drawers. So in each drawer, you have something that's specific to that task, okay? So if we're looking up here, the first one you see, this is a sales drawer. And in the sales drawer, sales people usually deal with accounts, contacts, leads, opportunities, sales orders. And then you have the standard, which is activities, calendar. What's new, meaning what's been added to the system recently. And then you have some library files, standard reports you can run, processes, products, and packages. So this is all standard sales type. Under marketing, they would have their standard locations that they can go to. Service, same thing, and I'll show you all those here in a minute. But this is called the navigation, and each one of these is a link you click to. So if I click on accounts, it's going to show accounts. I'm going to show the account detail screen, okay? So this area is where it shows the main information for the account. If you want to look up an account, there is a lookup here, a little magnifying glass up in the top left-hand corner. If I click here and I'm on the account level, I'm doing an account lookup. If I'm on the contact and I click here, I'm going to do a contact lookup, so on and so forth, okay? And across the center of each of your detail screens, this is called a tab view. So just like in your LAN client, you had tabs across the bottom, only in the tabs on the LAN client, they look like they had like a little scallop on them, right? So you could see they were tabs. These are still tabs. They just don't have the little scallop anymore, so that has not changed. Just like in the LAN client, you can pull a center area, one of the tabs up to be in your center. same thing. You can still do that here. On the navigation up at the top, so if I'm an account, I can actually roll through a list of accounts. So right now, I'm actually showing the all accounts group. So I'm sure you're familiar with the groups behind the scenes. So it's still here in the web client. That's exactly the same. So if I'm on the all accounts group and I'm on this record of the all accounts group, I can actually scroll through to the other records here. Now this little icon right here that looks like lines, like a notepad lines, this will take me back to the list view. So right here I'm in the individual record, but if I click on this, I'm going to go back to the list like you're used to seeing on the LAN client. And again, I'm going to review this page after we get through this. So then you have some additional tools up here in the gray bar, and these tools are dependent on, number one, your securities, and number two, the context of the page you're on. So if you're in accounts and contacts, those tools can be different than if you're on sales orders and opportunities. So basically, this is, the X would be delete, right? So you have the ability to delete the record. The next one would be copy, or this is copy to a notepad. And then the others you wouldn't have. But notice, this is a form editor. You won't have that one. But notice the question mark. Remember how I said you have the big question mark up here in the top right? And that's the main help files. And then you have context-specific help files, and those are the little question marks. So to get any information on the account details screen, you would click this little question mark. If you have questions on this details tab, you would click this little question mark. And if you have any questions on the filters on the right-hand side, you would click this little question mark. Does that make sense?
Yeah. This Tom, I have a question at this point. With the X for delete, is there any sort of safety on that it sort of like confirms with you that you actually do want to delete? I ask that because a former employee, when on the phone once, managed to delete his entire ACT database.
That's not fun.
Now,
Terry, I think we talked about this yesterday. I think the admin role will give you permission to delete or to not delete, correct, Terry?
That is correct. So this is what we were talking about in that standard role, where everybody gets a standard role and you remove the deletes. So unless you have that administrative role on your user, you will not even see this delete button.
So I might just not put it there, just in case.
Yeah, and I agree, because what you can do at that point, what we recommend is if you have an account that really does need deleted, change the status. So the status pick list would have a drop down, right? So that's your drop down, and just have an option in that is delete or duplicate, and then an admin user would go through and clean up anything that needs to be deleted and confirm that everything is good to be removed. So it's controlled, because if you delete, like you're saying, they deleted the whole database, that's worst case scenario for sure. But if they delete an account, not only do you delete the account, you delete all the information, you delete all the notes, you delete all the contacts, any opportunities, you delete it all. So this is always wise to be safe rather than sorry.
So the answer to the question about whether there's a, do you really want to do this, pop up if you push delete?
It does have one, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So as we go across the top, these are in the LAN version, you don't see the groups unless you go to the groups side, right? Well, in the web version, you still see the groups across the top. So these are literally all the groups showing up here. And I can go to those groups even though I'm on the detail level, okay? And you also have the ability to see a list of the groups. So if I click this link here that says groups, it'll show me a long list of all the groups, and I can click to a group there also. The green plus sign is adding a group. You can also add a group by right-clicking in the blue area where the tabs are across the top. So I can right-click and create a group, look at groups there also. So at the very top, we have an area which is showing some icons, right? So we have job notification. These are, if you run a report in the web client, it will run the report and then let you know that it's been completed. So you don't have to sit and wait on it. Past due, this is if you have past due activities, they will show up here and you can click on that and it'll give you a little quick drop down where you can see them. And alerts would be something upcoming. What we have here in the next spot is speed search. So speed search is searches accounts, contacts, opportunities, notes and history, tickets. It searches in the note fields of the tickets and notes of the emails that have been saved and looks for a certain wording, you know, whatever you put in your search. I'll show you how that works here in just a minute. So it basically searches everything. So if you know you resolved something with another customer and you have it again, you can actually put part of the issue or a term in there that helps you look for something, and it looks through the whole database and looks for something that's similar to that, and then you can go to that through a link. So I'll show you how that works real quick.
It'll be nice to have that back. This is Tom again. It'll be nice to have that back in Sales Logics. Once upon a time it worked. That's one of the features that somehow didn't seem to work too well the last couple of years.
Yeah, and you did have an older version, so this newer version does work. And then across the top, moving left here, we have a menu bar. So this menu bar is basically a mimic of tools and options that are available over here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the system, and we're going to be interactive. So this is where the questions will come in. Okay, so here is the dashboard I was talking about, and this is where you have links. As you see, everything pops up with a finger. So it tells me I have a link I can get to. These are editable if you were the owner. So if you have something that's shared to you, you can't edit it yourself, but you can create your own dashboards as needed. I'm not sure how much you'll want to mess with this, especially initially, but it is there. I just wanted to let you know. So here's those quick actions I was talking about where you can insert and schedule. Down below is some knowledge base information where you can look to how to do something. And here's that how to change my personal options that I was talking about that I'll be sending you information on. And then we have, scroll up a little bit, the recently viewed. See, this is a brand new session, so I have nothing recently viewed. If you notice, see recently viewed, and look up here at the top, recently viewed. Once I start visiting some accounts and contacts, I'm going to show you how this will actually hold my history. Not only is it here on the dashboard, but it's also up here on the toolbar. Okay, so this website has a bunch of custom dashboards that were created. So it has different ones, and it can be set up by management or users. Now, if I go over here and notice everything pops up, right? So here I'm in the sales drawer, and I have my welcome, and then I can go to accounts. So if I just click on accounts, it will take me to that account view we were just viewing. Notice I'm on the list view. Okay, let me get to some. So here's a group list view. So when you're in the web client or LAN client and you went to your list view, this is what you would normally see. In here, all I have to do is click on the link, and it'll take me to the account detail. And then on the account detail, you see here's all that screenshot where it gave me the tools across the top. Here's my groups, and I can actually click to the group. So if I wanted to go to my open responses group, which is blank, let me go to my leads. Okay, not a whole lot in here. Let's look at. Okay, here's a good list. So here's a nice long list, right? So I can go to any of these accounts, right? Just by clicking on the link. But if you look over here on the right-hand side, these are called filters. And I can take this group, which has 86, but let's say there's, 8,000. You really don't want to sit here and fish through 8,000 records. But what you can do over here is filter that group down by certain criteria. And these are called filters. So I can actually go into my state list, and I can look for California hardware customers just by clicking this checkbox. It filters my group. Now I can work with that, right? So these filters make your groups even more powerful without having to create a group. So in the past, what you had to do was create a copy of this group and put a condition on it that you only wanted to see those in the state of California. You don't have to do that anymore. So you can have one major group that allows you to pull up the specific information based on the check boxes that you select. So now I'm getting Massachusetts and New Jersey. Okay? That makes sense?
Yeah.
You'll also be able to filter by type, I presume?
Yep, you have type.
Good, good.
Yep. So this one currently only holds prospect, so that's the only thing you see. But if I had prospect, customer, lead, suspect, whatever your options are, they would be listed out here. But since I only have one actually in this group itself, then it's only going to show me one. But it'll show me all depending on what's in the group, okay? We also have status, so I can see active and inactive. So I can actually pull up all my inactive if I wanted to try and work on them to make them active, right? So now I can make my selection just by working with my filters. So the filters are very, very good about helping you work with your groups without having to create a new group. And these filters are also an area that if you have something that is commonly needed, you can get with Liz and we can actually create filters here that will help you, do your work with your groups.
Is the inactive status, is that something that is automatically settable by a time frame or looking into that contact, or what's the criteria for something becoming inactive? Is it something that has to be entered by the user, or what?
Yeah, right now that is a human action, so that has to be done on what you call the drop down or the pick list, right? So you can actually this is just a pick list, so you can make the selection based on a human going in and making the change.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a question. Is one of the groups automatically the entire contact or account list? So
that's the all group. So if you see all accounts, all contacts, that's every account, and that should never be changed. So you should never put conditions on an all account because the system basically uses that for a lot of its work and searches. So you want to make sure that you never change the all account. You can copy it and make a new one, but you don't want to make a change to that. But yes, you have the all groups.
okay.
And if you see a my group, so if you look over here, you see a my group, that one should be specific to the logged in user. And it pulls up based on the account manager. So the my groups are linked to the account manager based on who is logged in. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I changed this status to purge or whatever it was, and then I'm changing it back. This is the one thing that you want to take note of. The difference between the LAN client and the web client is the LAN client automatically save changes when you went from one record to another, okay? The web client does not. So if you look up here at the top, you'll see that I have this notation that there's unsaved data on this form. So I've made a change, but I haven't saved it to the database yet, okay? So if I was to go to the next record, it's going to ask me that you have unsaved data. Do you want to save them? If you move forward, you're going to lose those changes, okay? So I would hit cancel, and then you have to go up and hit the save button up here in the top right hand on the gray bar, okay? So once I save that unsaved data disappears, okay? So that is one change from LAN to web that is something that you have to work with, because you didn't really think about it in the LAN client, but you do have to think about it in the web client. Okay?
Okay.
So one of the things we had talked about was the groups list. So I wanted to show you how the groups list works. So if I click this, this is going to give me all the groups for accounts. Okay? You do not have to see all these groups if you don't want them. Okay? So what you can do, let's say I don't want to see this one, it's not mine, I don't care to see it, you can actually hide a group. So I can hide that group and it takes it out of my view. Now it's gone, right? But you can get it back. So I can go to groups and I can tell it to show hidden, and you can see a new column pops up here, visible, and where you see the checkbox off, right here, is the one I hid. I can just click it and it'll come back. Okay?
Yep.
All right, so speed search. If I type in a word here, I'm just going to type in test and hit search. And I've had this image off, so it doesn't, if it doesn't pull up anything, don't panic, because it's something that's fixable. Because indexes, yep. So what this runs off of is indexes. So there's a service that runs behind the scenes, and it goes through the databases and checks for new changes and indexes them into a table that allows a quick search. And that's what this runs off of. So I apologize that it doesn't work. Like I said, this is just a demo image, and it's been off, so the indexes haven't been running, obviously. So here I have an informational alert pop up like I was talking about. This is the job notification. And this is just giving me some information. Again, the system hasn't been running, so these are cached jobs that run against the database. This isn't user stuff. This is database management. And I'm only seeing this because I'm logged in as the administrator.
And by the way, I want to comment right here, because without any training, I started using speed search to look for things like toner guys. And since it's in notes and she clarified it searches everything, do not use this to look up accounts or contacts, because you will be forever finding something.
Oh, yeah.
Good point. Good point. Yep, I agree. So yeah, this should be something that is an embedded search, right? It's something that you're looking for some information you might have sent to another customer, that type of thing. Yeah, if you want to look up an account or contact, definitely use the lookups, you know, at the left of your blue section here. That's where you want your lookup. So this is where you can get into your actual lookup for something, right, specific to an account, and it even tells you what you're looking for here. Okay, so across the top here, as I go through it, this is your right menu, and this is that Outlook integration and Office integration, and that is where you will find your emailing, your mail merge, and some templates that you can work with. Administration you will not see because that's only for the administrator. Tools is, you will not see any of these up here at the top. They're administrative. Options is the one I'm going to send you some additional information for. Options are your user configuration pages. So these are where you would go to configure your defaults, like where do you want to go when you first log in to the system. So when you first log in, I personally like to go to accounts. I don't want to go to the welcome screen, because if you get a bunch of dashboards going across the top, it can take a little bit to load, and I want quick, right? I want it to pop up as quick as possible. So I always have my accounts being the first thing I see when I come in. You can go contacts, you can go accounts, you know, whatever works for you. And then the most important piece on here is this piece down here at the bottom. So you have your install, Office integration, and XBAR. So these are the pieces that work to integrate your Office software and your CRM. This is where you will go to install those. So when you click install, it'll do a download. And when you do the download, don't run it from the download here. Don't run it from this, pop-up. Do a save as, put it on your desktop, and run it locally. Okay? It'll just work better for you if you run it locally. One thing I do want to say, though, is when you do install it, especially on these newer systems, so I'm going to do a save as.
Or just let me do it.
And that's fine, too. I just wanted to pull up that if you have, here's the executable. One thing that I've noticed with the newer system, it's not going to do it because I'm local, you'll come up with a block, right? And that block, you'll have to unblock it to be.
That's just a security block. You just, I actually created a video for everybody to watch that takes you through the whole process.
All right, we won't go through that then. Scroll up. One of the areas that you may want to make changes to is activities. Activities you can set down here at the bottom. You can set your defaults, like how long you want your alarm to be for. So this is where you're going to set all that pieces of information. Just review it, and it'll make sense. So for a meeting, I have a default at 15 minutes, and so that type of thing, and how long your standard duration is, what's your most common. Just saves you time having to change it every time you start a new activity. And under group, you'll see that when I first load up the system to the specific, they call them entities. So you have account entity, contact entity, lead entity, opportunity, and each of those has a main view, which is that detail screen. So behind that, we had that group that loaded. And if you want a faster load on your system, you want to make sure that you change your default group to be anything but all. So if it's loading the all group, it's loading every account behind the scenes. You don't want that because it's going to take longer. I prefer and recommend latest accounts, latest contacts, latest opportunities, those type of groups, or the my group. So my accounts, my contacts, that sort of thing. So, and that's going to speed up your load of your system tremendously. And then over here on the right-hand side, any change you make, always hit save. Okay? Remember that. It'll show unsaved data if you didn't save anything. Okay. Any questions on that quick stuff?
Upper right-hand corner, little floppy disk sign.
Okay. So back on, I'm sorry.
I just think it's funny that save is a little floppy disk and nobody uses floppy disks anymore.
I know. Retro, just think of it as retro. It's fashionable. So that's the tools section. Schedule. So here is where you can schedule your meetings, to-dos, personal activities, that type of thing. And you also have it down here on the right-hand side, right? Mm-hmm. And you also have it, if I right-click on activities, because that's what you're doing, you're scheduling an activity, you can schedule it over here also. So multiple ways of doing it. If I go to the activities tab, remember everything is tabbed, I can do the same thing over here, okay? That's your scheduling. New is where you can use, you can do a new record. So I have extra ones here because of being in admin, so you won't see these bottom ones here, but you will see account, contact, and lead, and then the additional secondary records that you can create, opportunity, quote, sales order, and so on. The main ones, of course, being the top three: account, contact, just account, or a lead. You aren't currently using the lead system, so it's mostly going to be this one right here, account and contact. You can also do it here. I right-click, new contact and account. I prefer myself, I always use this section over here because it's always here. So these other tools, especially over here on the right-hand side, are context-specific, where this one is always on. So even if I'm on accounts, I can still do something on the contact level, right, or on the sales order level, right? I always use my right click on the navigation bar. Okay, so the next one up here is that recently viewed. Remember, I said this is a memory of where I've been lately. This is very handy because then if I want to return to something, all I have to do is click on it and I can go back to it. So, you know, if you did something earlier in the morning and you can't remember the account, it's going to be listed here as long as you have not logged out and refreshed your cache.
Hold on a second.
Yep.
So if you do shut down at the end of the day, then all that latest stuff is lost, right?
Absolutely. It's a temporary memory. It's just to help you while you're on this session right here.
Okay.
Okay?
It's even worse than that, Bob, if you close your browser or close this out for any reason, it's gone.
If you log off, yeah.
Okay.
So if I hit sign off right now, it's going to clear that cache. So it's session specific.
Okay.
All right. So when you're looking at your main view, you can see it's very similar to your layout on your LAN client. You have your pick list, right? You have your fields. You have your tabs. You have your more tabs. I can drag my middle pane, right? And I can have 3 levels going down through here. And then I can look at my panes as I want. One of the things I do want to show you, if you know on the LAN client, you always have that little notepad area over here on the right, right? So if I click on a history, it shows up the information over here on the right. As you can see, that's not like that here in the web. So in the web, it actually displays with it. So I can turn it on or off. And what that does is it saves real estate. So you can choose to show, and then you can choose to show more. You can open them up, right, based on what you want. You also have the ability here to show or hide. So I can open them all. I can close them all.
Okay.
Okay. And you also, I don't know if you used it in the LAN client, but you have the filter capabilities still here. So that's good. And once you make a change to something, you have to apply that filter. So I apply the filter, and now I'm going to see all the phone calls, right? Because I filtered by phone call. I want to reset it, I just hit the reset button, and I go back to everything, okay? Just ability to allow you to filter if you need to. And then you have your additional tools here where you can send. So I can take this and I can actually send it by email, or I can copy it to Word, or I can add a new note. So you have the ability to add a note here, okay? Any questions on the notes and history area? Drag and drop still works. Your send to email or send to CRM is what puts your notes and history in. Let's see. All that is still the same. No change there. Activities, it still works exactly the same. If I want to complete an activity, I can complete it here. You can also go to activities itself, and it gives you the list view just like what you use currently, right, or used in the LAN client. So you have the ability to see all your activities in one place, or go to the actual account or contact to see the activities, and this is where you can actually complete them. And this is where you can add new ones. So if I want to add, schedule a meeting or a phone call, I can do that here, okay? And then a to-do. Any questions on this section of it? We're going to go into the specifics of the activities later. I just want to give you the review of the overview of the system.
Quick question on this. It's a general question as to the system. Is there a finite maximum number of contacts that can be added into the system?
Nope, it's infinite.
You can find every single annexed person and put it in.
Good. That was the problem we had with ACT. We were up to 18,000 contacts, and then ACT told us, well, it gets unstable above 12,000.
Oh, great. No, no, blow it away. This is, I'm probably going to sink myself here. I was going to say this is like the Titanic. It's the biggest ship ever made. No, I'm kidding.
Hopefully you have better metal than the Titanic did.
Yeah. We're all virtual. We have no metal. But no, you can put as many as you want to. The only problem with that is which one you're going to work on first. So, so I showed you the moving from one record to another here, just by clicking the arrows. You can also click down through here. So here's that group I'm on. So this is just a quick list of the first. I think it's the first column in the group. I can also switch to the group list by clicking on the group list icon. And in the group list, you also have list or summary. So this is list view. If I click summary, it actually gives me a little bit of a synopsis of each of the items in the list view. So it gives you, you know, a little bit more information. I can see that this is the only contact on this account.
Can you run through that one more time? I might have missed that. I'm showing your hardware customers at the top. Where did you go from the one view to the next?
To go from the detail view to the list view?
Yeah.
Or to go from list to summary?
Oh, I see it up there now. I'm sorry. I see it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So we got list view, which is a single line, and summary view, which gives you a lot more information. So
right.
you have contact information, right? And you also have, I like this one where it actually gives you the contacts. And if there's more than one, it'll list them out. And you can actually go to them from here. So I can
That's
click
slick.
this user, this contact, and go right to their contact detail, which this throws us into the contact level, okay? So now I'm on contact, and I can see where I'm at just because it says contact up here. I'm on the contact level. So let's say I want to search for, let's see if I'm in the system. I don't know if I am or not. We'll find out. So I just did a search. So, oh, there I am. So I click on the look up here, right? Or I can also click over here, look up contact, pulls up the same thing, right? And then I can go back up here and see how my list is growing. And it tells me what entity it is. These are all accounts. This is a contact. So I can go back to that contact. Throws me right back to that contact. I can send an email from the contact just like you can with a LAN client. If I hit the little email icon, it will open my Outlook and open an email. There's my email. Let's see. So we have, you do see something else different. You see the little pencil. This is just the edit. So you can open that and pull up, you know, the edit form for that one. When in doubt, on a lot of these items, right click. So if I go up here and I right click, I see menus. If I go over here and right click, I see menus. There are menus all over the place in here. So, you know, always check to see if you have additional tools that you can use from that right click menu. You're gonna see little shortcuts here and there. Everything else is the same. You know, activities. So you have the tab view down at the bottom. You have a center area. So if you look in the center, you have a center area here that you can customize to a tab that you'd like to see in the center. So none of that has changed. If I want to use any of my tools over here, I can email this contact just like I click this icon here. I can also email over here. I can add a note to this contact, so it pops up a note. So I can add something. So I can go to notes and history, and there's the note I just put in. Okay.
Carrie?
So, yes.
I have a question. What if multiple people are accessing the same account or contact, and the storage, since we're cloud-based now, does it have any conflict on that, or does it tell you somebody else is in it, or?
Nope, not at all.
Okay.
So let's say you have two people on the same account and they both make changes. The first one to save their changes wins, and then if the second one saves their changes, it's going to overwrite those changes. So it's live. So
now wait a minute, you said override those changes. So I'm assuming like notes or something, right? So let's say Tom and I are both talking to somebody, and he saved a note. I can still save a note right after that, and no issues,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
No issue. No issue.
I think if somebody makes a change to the phone number,
right,
and saves
that's
it,
what,
and
okay.
then it'll get overwritten.
I got that part. Okay.
Yeah, and that's standard, right? Because I mean, that even happened with remote clients. If one person made a change, the most recent change wins. There's always a win or a loss anytime we have something like that. But yeah, no, the notes are separate. Each person puts in what they want to put in. It can add up, 15 a minute if you got 15 people working on the same one. No problems there. Okay. So if you look on the contact level, the layout is exactly the same, right? You have your groups going across the top. You have your list view. If I go to the list view, you're going to see the filters on the right-hand side. If you remember what the account filters look like, they were a little bit different. Remember I said this is context-specific. So it's actually going to change based on the entity I am on. So if I go to quotes, it's going to be different than what I had on the accounts and what I had on the contacts. So here's the quote filters. See, I've only got 4. Then I can actually filter this group based on the filters on the right-hand side, okay? So that is filters. And the layout. So this is what I was talking about, where the drawers. So I'll send you this to remind you of what we talked about, and has all the information for sales. And then let's go over lookups a little bit more. So I'm going to look up an account. And you have multiple lookups that you can use. The account, you can look, this is controllable. So I talked with Liz about this yesterday on how to set this up. So if you have a common one, she can work with you to make sure that common lookup is on on your list. So you have not only a field you can look up, you also have a condition, right? So starting with means that it searches from the left side of the field toward the right. So starting with, and the contains gives you anything where like in this case, the phone number has 937 anywhere. So it can be in the beginning, it can be in the middle, it can be, at the end of the field. So now I'm seeing I have 937. This one's towards the middle. This one's towards the middle. We have one here at the beginning. So that's the contains. I'm not sure how aware you are of the different conditions you can use. I just want to make sure that you are aware that you can change that to do a lookup. So that is the lookup. And you have a lookup set on each of the items. You can do it with not that one. Do lookup for sales order, quotes, leads, contacts, accounts, right? And if I go to the service side, we have tickets. You can even do a lookup on tickets. So these are the drawers, and that's where I was saying they all have their own set of entities that they can use. I mean, they're available for everybody, but just the common tools that each department would be using. Okay. So that is lookup. That's what they're calling on the training. It's calling simple lookup. And then we went over the list view and summary view already. And okay, I didn't kind of, so just like on the land client, you have the ability to modify your view. So I can, how if I don't have this in here, so I'm going to pull my contacts back down in. I can modify, well, oh, I'm thinking wrong here. What this is saying is you can make this bigger or smaller, right? So real estate is, so if I pull those in, my real estate gets to be pretty crowded. You can actually pull those and make them as small as you want. If they disappear completely, just slide over it and find your double arrow, and then you can make it bigger. This one, I've had people call me and say, I can't find my filter bar, and it's just that they had scooted it all the way to the right. So that's, you can adjust your sizing based on your needs. Oh, you can, and you can also minimize. So see, you've got the lock, right? So I can make it go away completely. And then up here at the top right-hand corner, you've got just like a mobile app where you have the fly out. I can do a fly out. So it's all about real estate and what you want to see and what you don't want to see. So you do, just like in the land client, you do control what you can see here. So you have more tabs, just like in the land client. I can pull up as many tabs as I want, and I can remove as many tabs as I want. Now, they don't go away. They just come down into the more tabs, right? And you can rearrange. So I want my contacts first. I don't use opportunities. I'll put them down at the back. So you can make this look the way you want it to look. So we talked about, they call it a split view, where you have the upper level, the mid, and then the bottom level. And then the common task over the right, that is context specific. We talked about the groups. Oh, I didn't show you the find on the groups. So if I go to my groups list and I know of a group that I've used before and I want to see it, I can type in a search. You don't have this in the land client. So I can do a search and it'll pull me the all, anything that matches what I'm looking for. Okay? That's kind of handy, especially if you get a big long list of groups. It can be pretty unhandy to try and find something. And then we talked about the filtering on the right-hand side, where you can filter based on your needs, whichever filter is available. And then you can also do custom ones. The help, let me kind of review the help a little bit here. So remember I said you've got the big help. So the big help is the general, what's going on with CRM in general with a search. You also have this Get Started guide. So this Get Started guide would be a good idea if you want to just get a quick review of the system. The web client help pulls up a web page and you can see what's new, getting started, quick reference, different resources. And you can see up here at the top, there are specific to departments and things you can work on to learn what's specific with sales, what's specific with marketing, service and support, and so on. So it's going to give you some additional information. This is the big overview, right? And then the context specific is the little help. So in the little help, it goes in and it says using the account detail. That's what I pulled my little help from, was the account detail, right? Very handy if you're not sure how to do something. Okay? Good things to know. The this is a view of what that quick reference card is. So what this does is give you a very quick view for the most common questions, right? So that's what they call a quick reference card. And you'll be getting those, and you also have it available in your help. The installing Office integration and XBAR, John's going to handle that one. So that is, that's going to be working through. So you're coming up on the ability to log in and work with your system. So the first thing I'm going to suggest is once you get your URL and you log in, your system's going to be coming up online here this week. You're going to want to log in. Go right to that tools area that I talked about. So that's the first thing you want to do, is set your system up to where it's working for you. So when you first log in, you're going to be coming up to the welcome screen. That's the first thing that comes up in an unfigured system. And you're going to want to go right to tools and options and configure your setup. Start it where you want to start it. Look at your defaults on all your tabs and just get a feel for some things that you can control, and specifically change those groups. Make sure your groups aren't coming in as the all, right? So that's the one thing I definitely recommend when you first start up your system. So these are just some exercises just to get you moving in the system. Go to the account detail view and make sure you can see your contacts, activities, so on. So you can kind of use this to make sure that you can see these items and you can locate them. And same thing there. This will also give you a chance to roll through what can I do with the system. One thing I didn't go over is addresses. So let me show you how the addresses work. So in the More tab, so right now note I am on the account, right? In the account, you have a tab that you didn't have before, and it's called Addresses. So addresses actually, the system, as you know, allows you to put multiple addresses. Well, now you have a tab that actually will show you what the addresses are, where before you had to go in and click the little drop down, right, to see the error. Now you don't have to do that. You can actually see them here, and you can actually edit them here. So that makes it, pretty nice. And I can also add, so anytime you see a plus sign, I can add a new address. So, it seems to think I changed something. I might have bumped something. So I'm going to add an address. Seriously? There we go. So if I want to add a new address, I can choose. This is just a pick list, so that can be changed as needed. I can choose what kind of address it is, the type, and then I can start putting in the address. Right? Oh, county, sorry. So now I've added a new address, and now I have two, right? So it makes it a little nicer to manage addresses in the system now versus, going through several windows to be able to get to it like in the LAN client. Okay. So I've done your basics on the layout. Now I'm going to show you how to add new accounts, add new contacts. I just showed you how to do a second address. So we'll get started on those pieces here. So to add a new account, remember there's multiple ways of doing it. I prefer this one, add new contact and account.
I had a quick question on the address before we went too far away from that.
Okay.
Quick question on the adding the address. In Sales Logics, we have inserted numerous foreign accounts that, for instance, in that the state is not an applicable one. It required us to put in NA into that field. Now, is state a required one in this one?
I've gotten around that by not tabbing through.
Mm-hmm.
Just if you don't tab through,
Mm-hmm.
As long as you don't hit that.
as long as you don't click into this, like tab through to the state box, you just use your cursor, then it won't be a problem where you have to put in NA.
Yep.
So as long as you don't tab through what you should.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I had that problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to go to an insert new account. So it's going to be very similar to what you've seen before. And whenever you are adding a new account, new contact, you always want to make sure it's not there, right? So you can do it two ways. Search before you add the new, that eliminates duplicates, or you can search during while you're adding the new. And that's the same as what you have now. So I'm just going to put in new account, new user, new. You can do your webs, right? Phone numbers. It's all the same, right? There's nothing different here. What is different is the look for matching records, and it's not going to work because it is linked to the speed search. Remember, my indexes didn't run. But there would be a pop-up that allows you to search based on email, account, contact name, any field that you want to. You just check it, and then it searches the database and looks to see if it's there. And if it's there, it gives you options as to whether or not you want to use that record or you want to create a new one. So you always want to make sure that it's not there before you add a new one, whether you do it prior to inserting or during your insert. But you do want to make sure that, I don't know what I've done wrong here. You do want to make sure that it does, you do a search and make sure you don't do duplicates, okay? I'm just going to hit add. So we've got the add. I should have shown you what those mean. So you were talking about wanting to do multiple contacts, right? Or sorry, not contacts, accounts. I guess that works for contacts too.
Well, sometimes I have multiple contacts with the same customer. And is it the same way as it is now where you just save and move on, or like save and add new user?
Yep, there is a save and add new, and that's what I was going to show you. So if I go to the account, remember there's multiple ways of doing the news, right? So I can go up to new, I can right click and do new. I can also go to the contacts. So I'm on the account, I can go to the contacts tab, and there is a new add here. So I can add a new one, and what this does is adds a contact to the existing account. So this is already filled in. So I can say new 1, 2, right? And then you have save and new. So you have this little fun, save and new, or save and clear, or just save. So you do have the option. So I can hit save and new. So if I save that one, it opens up to a new one, and I can say new 1, 3, right? So yes, you can multiple insert. You also have the ability, and Liz will have to find out if she's going to allow this or not. But we have an import capability too. So if you have a CSV file, you can actually import into the system. That's something I definitely recommend, either assistance from us initially, or Liz, once she gets going, or whomever is assigned to that, be the one to actually do that. Because you have to map fields, and you want to control that, make sure you're putting in good data, right? So
I don't think anybody can do that except me.
Okay. So we've inserted new accounts. We've inserted a new contact. We've inserted contacts to a current account, right?
Yep.
One of the other things that some people ask for is adding, like, you know, in the land client, you can just drag and drop attachments and that sort of thing, right? You can still do that here. So I'm going to create, so I've created a text file, sorry, and it's just for testing. And you have your attachments tab. And let me pull this over here and make this a little bigger. So, yeah, I've got it made really large. But anyway, I'm going to do is just click and drag. See how I get the plus sign? So I drop it, and it actually shows my attachments. I can change that and hit OK, and it will upload my attachments. Now, one of the questions I've had quite a bit is, okay, what if I need to make changes to that attachment? Absolutely, you can, but it's not the same as in the land client. So in the land client, you actually can open it and edit it and then just resave it, right? And that doesn't work here. When you click on this, since this is a web client, it has to go to the database and pull up that file, and you have to bring it locally, right? So it's away from your computer now. It's in the database in the cloud. So you have to download it, just like you download any other attachment, bring it in, save it, and then make changes to it, and then upload it again. Okay? But I can open it, right? Just by clicking open. So it's, remember, it's web, so it handles things a little bit differently. So that's saving attachments. And emails are the same thing, right? So I can click and drag. Once it loads here, I can click and grab into as an attachment, or I can go to my notes history. Notice I had my attachments tab open. So it's just like what you work with now in the land client. If you have your attachments tab open, it's going to save it as an attachment. If you have the history open, it's going to save it as a history.
Did you just save that email? Is that what you did? I'm confused. You went to email and then you went back to, they used the words attachments, and I got confused. Okay.
So if you have the attachments tab open in the web client, it's going to save that email as an attachment. It's just the file, an MSG file at that point. Okay? If I have the notes and history open, it's going to save that as a history, and notice it puts up the history note form, and it allows me to make changes to it as needed. So I can add some additional information. I can carry over a follow-up to that email if I want to, so it creates a history, right? And if I say okay, it shows up now right here. So it's actually in my history. So it's dependent on what tab you have open. Okay, and if you look over here on the right, see how it says dropped email? So it tells you that it was a drag and drop. So you still have that capability. Okay? detail view. I'm going through my run here. Make sure I've got everything so we can edit. Well, I showed you where to do the editing on the additional addresses. That's good. We ran through attachments, the insert screen, and hitting the save button. There's just associate an account. You don't do that right now, so we're not going to go into that.
If you forget to save and you're trying to move on, does it prompt you that you forgot to save?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So let's say I'm going to put, so I've got a new fax number, right? Remember, it's got the unsaved data, but if I go to, let's say I want to look up, see, do you want to leave this page?
Yeah, okay.
You have unsaved data, okay? So if I say stay on this page, I'm going to save it, and then it'll let me move on.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, sure. So here's some more exercises you can do once you get these files, just to allow you to get warmed up to the system. So now it just says you can do this. Just skip this one because you won't be doing associations. Okay, so now we're going to go into activities, some of your favorite stuff. So activities. So if I am on the contact, and I know I'm on the contact because it says contact up here, right? So now I have my activities tab. It's going to be just like what you're used to seeing in the LAN client. I can add an activity. I can set it up to be scheduled, same as you did before. There are a couple differences, though. There's some additional functionality. So let me make sure that I showed you what I did. So I'm clicking down here. This is my activity toolbar. I'm going to click on phone call, right? I can also right-click here and say schedule a phone call. Remember, there's multiple ways of doing it. I can also go up to my schedule button and schedule a phone call there. So if I schedule a phone call, the good thing about using down here is it will take it context specific, right? So if I click one here, this is going to fill in where I'm currently at. This side over here is not so quick friendly about that piece, but if you're on the tab, it will take where you're currently at and add that as the account and user. So regarding is a pick list or a drop down. Multiple options here, and this is configurable by, it's going to pull over what you currently have, and you can also change it. It's just a pick list, and you can also free key. So you can free key information also. Then you have your location. So this can be whatever you need it to be. Then you control your times. So you can type in here, or you can choose a pick list, right? Or you can choose from a calendar drop down. You can change your time. So I'm either just clicking on the drop downs, so I can choose my time, or I can type in and type it wrong, and it tells you typed it wrong. There we go. And then I can change time zones, that type of thing. And what I like about this one is it even gives you a comparison. So I'm in Eastern, but I want to see what Central, not Central America, Eastern, Central time. There we go. So it gives me the comparison for the time zones, right? So if I'm in Eastern, I'm setting it for 1:35. It tells me the Central time is 12:35. Little extra tool there, makes it kind of handy. So I can set my time. Same thing as you have now. Timeless, meaning it's just something you have to do today or this day, and timed, meaning it has a specific appointment. Set your durations, set your alarms. This is all changeable. right? You can set it to what you want. You can set it to, if you don't complete this, you know, make it for the next day. Here's where you have your additional tools. So you have some tabs. So general is just account contact, opportunity ticket, who's the leader on this, and if you have the ability to set for somebody else on your calendar, you can actually assign it to somebody else if you're giving that ability. It's very specific on that. You can set your priority and your categories. Again, same as you have now. So on the new stuff, you have some tabs. So availability, if you have participants. So here's the one contact I have. I can add additional participants. This is new. Oh, well, that's not handy at all. So it looks like I should have tested my system before I started running this, but you can do a search and it will pull up accounts and contacts that you can choose additional people to the activity. So, you know, prior to this, you had one contact, one leader, and that was it. You can actually even add internal users to the activity. So if you have like several people in your company also meeting with this customer, you can set that up. You can set up internals. The only caveat to that is that you have to create, to put internal people on the system or in the activities, you have to have a company account and the users as contacts, and then you map a user from your user list to the contact on that company account, and then you can actually add users to this to invite them to these meetings. So it's a little additional tool that they have for additional participants. Does that make sense? So I can add a contact. So see, I can have multiple people invited to this one meeting. Okay. So this is the contact adds account people. The participants is user people. That makes sense? So there's two people adds here. You've got internal people.
User people being the people who are from BT or Drake.
Yeah.
Fixing that.
Yep. You can add attachments to the activity. So if you have a specific attachment, I can actually add that in. So if you have something specific for the meeting, you can actually add it to the meeting requirements. You can still do the recurring, right? And set it up the way you want it, just like you currently have it. And what this does with availability and that participants tab, when you're adding users, this will then populate with each user as to their availability.
Okay.
Okay? So that's where that kind of flows together. So then I can hit OK. And just like when I hit OK and I go down to my activities, there is that activity I just set up, going to see them, right? And then to complete it, there is a complete button. So I hit complete. It opens it up. You can add your meeting notes to it, additional items, and you can run it. You can do a follow-up, right, if need be, just like what you currently have. And you can do that it was completed as scheduled, or you can do it that it was completed at this point now. So it's scheduled. It even gives you a little flyout, right? Can you see that flyout? It's kind of pale.
Yep.
But so that's the date it's going to show the completed date, or if I hit the now button, it's going to show this is the completed date. So it actually will give you the option. So that's an activity. That's how you complete a scheduled activity. So to complete an unscheduled activity, you add a note. So if I click this little button, sorry, I'm clicking too quick. If I click this button here, sorry, that's not the one I'm wanting. Add a note, that's it. There's add a note. So if I add a note, that's an unscheduled activity. Right? And I can add notes and say, okay. And that shows up in your notes and history right here. So I was testing an unscheduled activity, meaning I just, had a conversation with them. I can change the category, make it, phone call or whatever it is that I had with them, and it just shows up the information then. Okay? So that's activities. That is the changes on the activities pages and how to complete them, right? So we reviewed how to complete them. So if you have any open ones, it'll show up here, you complete them. Now let's look at how to look at activities as they are in the system, in the list view, right? So you have activities currently in your system on your LAN. Yeah. And this is what it looks like here. So I can see that there is an activity here. And over to the right, let me make this full screen. And over to the right, you see even here I have filters, right? So I can filter my list based on the items I want to see based on time frames, users. If I have the ability to see other users, I can actually filter by that user. So if I go down here and there's this leader filter, I can change and I can see all of Samantha's as a leader. I can see all of Joan's as a leader. So you can see, other people if you are given the ability to see them. Otherwise, it's just going to show you, as a person, it's going to see your items. Let me pull in Lee Hogan. He always has a lot. So if I am on these activities and I can open that activity, right? Anything that's a blue link is a link to that record. So this would be a contact record. This would be an account record. I can go right to that account. I can open up this activity. So if I click on that link, it pulls up that activity. I can complete that activity, right? So I can add notes, and then I can actually complete that activity. Let's do it now. And then that meeting will go away. Any questions on that quick run through on completing meetings?
Cool.
So you have your different groups up here, past due, what alarms you have, any events. So events are something that are considered, let's see if there's any in here. Here we go. So like a business trip, vacation, that type of thing. It's a special category of activity. So this is still the same confirmations. If you're invited to an activity, the confirmation will show up here, and you can either accept it or deny it, right? And then we also have the literature request system, which I don't think you have anything used for that one.
Oh.
Okay. So that is the activity view. You do have a right-click menu. Remember I said, whenever you're anywhere, try your right-click menu, because you're going to be surprised how much there actually is available as a web client that you have. So I can click the link to open the activity, or I can open it just by right-clicking on the menu. I can complete it. So you don't have to open it to complete it. You can actually right-click and complete it, or I can actually remove it. If it's mine, I can remove it. If I have the ability to delete somebody else's, I can delete theirs. But only if you've been given that ability. That is controlled and secure. Okay? I can also go to the account, contact, opportunity, ticket, or lead as it is tied to that opportunity or to that activity. Okay. Or I can schedule something else based on that original activity. So there's quite a bit of tasks that you can do on the right-click side here. You also have the quick tasks down here in the bottom right-hand side. So same tools that I had on the right-click I have over here. Multiple ways of doing everything, remember?
Yep.
Okay. So that is the activities. Let's look at the calendar. So that's another area you're going to want to be familiar with. Calendar is pretty much the same thing as you have now. Your timeless activities don't show on the activity calendar itself. Timeless activities show up down here in the bottom right-hand corner. But if it is a timed activity, it's going to show up on the calendar. So let's go to the months. We can see some things here. April.
That's certainly not my calendar.
Yeah, I'm sure. So here's what they look like on a calendar. So this one has a 2-day, right? So it actually rolls through the second day. Over here on the right-hand side, if you have the ability to see somebody else's calendar, you can actually see who and control who is being shown on the calendar just by a click. You can add, you can add other users. So I can add people to my calendar. Nobody has anything? There's a limit of 5. There we go. So now I can select these 2. Who was it that I set? I can't remember the user I put in for that one I completed it though, didn't I? Nah, that's not going to work. All right, so let's back up. So if you notice they're color-coded, just like in your current system, there we go. So you can see they're color-coded, right? So green would be Lee Hogan. So that shows some of that information. Okay. So calendar's pretty cut and dried. There's not a whole lot here. You can navigate to whichever month you want, right? Through the list or through left, right. Or you can do it up here in the top right-hand corner. You do have the Today button, so that takes you right to the current date. You can display based on day, work week, or month, depending on your views that you wish. So that's all just a click. You also have your context, right? So you can get context help in here. And you can see it will show completed timeless activities and your open timeless activities. And completed ones will show up on here also.
I have a question. And maybe this is for Mr. Cobb, but
John dropped off.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah,
well, I was just wondering what the relation to this and XBAR and the cross connect between Outlook could be, because we mostly use Outlook for survival. Minus Tom, who uses this to schedule all his appointments and everything. I use Outlook because it can contain all my other stuff, like my flight information and all pertinent data for me to actually get to where I'm going. Is there any cross connect on here where I can say copy my calendar on XBAR or copy a public calendar on XBAR or anything like that?
There is, yes. So I'm looking through my list of things to go through, and the last thing we need to do is the quote. So I'm going to get started with, I can definitely show you how the Outlook integration. Okay. So, and it'll tie into the calendars and activities like we were talking about, and also the contacts and accounts. So before I move on, does anybody have any questions on the activities? I know it's a big part of your day, so I want to make sure that we have that covered before we move on to the Outlook piece. Everybody pretty good?
Yep.
All right, cool. All right, so now we're going to get into Outlook. So you do have the ability to sync your calendar to Outlook. I am seeing, and you have a little later version than I do currently, but I am seeing some duplications on the calendar, so just be aware that sometimes it goes back and forth so when you don't really want it to, but it still works, and I even use it myself. But again, we have a earlier version. We don't have the same version you do. But I don't recommend the contacts, and there's really no reason to pull contacts in because you have the capability to see contacts, you know, with your web client, but also with your XBAR client. So you have this little, it's called a mini mobile client right in your Outlook. That's XBAR, okay? Okay. So there's going to be some nifty stuff you can do with XBAR. I'm going to show you your options first. So this is the part that John's going to have all set up for you. So it will be installed and ready to be used. But I want to show you what some of the options were that you as a user can set up for your own self. So one of the things is to send a CRM and record to history. So there are some areas here that are more helpful to you as a user to help you make sure that your information gets put into the system. And these are the settings that I recommend specifically. Prompt for duplicate contacts. So if it finds more than one that matches the email address, and that is how the send to CRM works, is it matches by email address. So if there's two people in the system that has the same email address, it's going to pop up and it's going to say, hey, there's two of them. Number one, letting you know there's two of them. And number two, which one do you record this email to, right? So you always want to put on the prompt for duplicate. Otherwise, it doesn't know where to put it, so it doesn't put it, right? And then if it cannot find the contact, so if it doesn't even find a contact with that email address, you want it to let you know because it goes nowhere and it's not going to record it, okay? So you want to know that. So that allows you to add that email to the system to make sure that the contact is updated to where you can save that email. And then display notifications means that it pops up a little window down here on the right-hand side that says it's completed its job, everything's good. Okay, that's just to let you know that everything worked well. Another item here that I don't have marked, but we use personally here for our business is this display history details before saving. So what this does is when you save an email, it actually pops up the history form itself, and it works for us, and I don't know that it's something you're going to use. I just want to let you know it is there. That I'm going to go to a history, and I'm going to open one. So this is what it pops up, right? So basically, if you have an account or an opportunity or ticket, you can actually log the email not only to the account and contact, but you can also put it specifically to an opportunity or ticket. That's the use for that pop-up of history. It also allows you to make changes to any notes or anything, or schedule a follow-up against that history, right? So it's all in how you need to use the system. But at the very least, I recommend the three that I have showing here, okay? And the sync, you'll have to talk with John and Liz on this setup to make sure they want you to do this. But we always recommend one way, and we do recommend InforCRM to Outlook. But again, we'll work through anything that you may want to to deal with, but that's where the calendar sync is set. Okay? Okay, so what I'm going to go to at this point is I'm going to show you with the send to CRM. I'm going to finish that up, and then we're going to start working on the XBAR. So if you want to save a current email into the system, remember I did the drag and drop, right? And that worked fine. You also have the ability to right-click and record the history, or you can select your email and record the history here. You also have the ability to pull in, see that little plus sign? I can just drag that email right over into that history. See that? Well, sorry, it just attached it. It attached is what it did. So I thought I could put it, maybe I need to open the history. Nope, it's just attaching. I was thinking that it would record a history, but it doesn't. It actually makes you record it as an attachment. But I just added some attachments to this account here. So that's the XBAR, okay? So the XBAR, like I said, is a mini mobile client. And if I click on an email, it goes out and searches for that contact in the system. And I know this person is in the CRM because I have this pop up here. Okay, so this line tells me that it's pulling back information on that contact. Let me open this up a little bit more. So if I click on history, it's going to tell me, oh, there isn't any. So let me go back up here. So if I click on history, I'm going to see the most recent history for that user or that contact in the system. And I can have a more down here so I can see more history. So it just pulls the first, first few. If there's any open activities, and then I can complete that activity, right? So I can actually complete right here in the XBAR. If I complete that activity, just click on that. Here's the activity. I can add my notes. And down here at the bottom, you can see as scheduled or now, just like in the main web client, or I can cancel it. So I'll complete this one for now. So I just completed that one. And if I go to history, I did not read my note that I just did, so I'm not sure if that's the one that I had, because I didn't look at it when I completed it. But anyway, it'll show up here as a history. Another thing you have, and let's see. If you have somebody that you got a new person, right? So you always want to add new contacts. So let's say you have a new one, and okay, so bear with me a second. I'm going to set this up. Remember, it matches on email address, right? So I'm going to make a change so that I can show you how easy it is to add a new contact to the system. So I'm taking that out. We're going to call this old. Okay. So I've changed this contact. So this contact here, go off, go back on. Okay. So if you notice, I look at this and I'm clicking on this person. Now remember how it showed up. If I click on Janetta, you can see that I've got activities history notes. So it tells me that it has a contact, it has information in the system, and it's giving me information. Now, if I click on this one now, it says, I don't know this email address. I can't find it in the system. You no longer see that little drop down, right? So that's a quick sign that this person is not in the system at this point. So if you have a signature line, right,
Yeah.
I can actually take this information, swipe over it, drag it up in, and it asks me, what do you want to do with this? It's a new contact, right? It located this account. It's pulling it. It pulls all the information in. See how it actually defines the information?
Yep.
Right? And I can hit save.
That's cool, by the way.
Absolutely, it is. Remember, I was getting that S data error, so there we go. Now look what happens. I now have that drop down,
Yep.
right? So now I go back to my client. I'm going to do a search. So here, well, I hit it twice. Dummy me. So here's that contact I just entered. Right?
Yep.
Now, it didn't take over the address very well. I don't even remember if I had much of an address on. Now, there's no address, so it can't pull over address it doesn't have. But it pulled in all that information, email, phone numbers, account, all that, right? And now I can work with that. I can set up an activity. So there's no activities. So let's say I want to set up an activity for this person. You have over here on the right-hand side called a foursquare. The foursquare gives you some tools. It's kind of like that task list, that quick tasks. So the foursquare allows you to add a new activity, put in a note, right? So you can add information on here. You can add notes. You can set up when you want it to occur, right? So I can say, let's go for the 21st, or yeah, 21st. I'm going to save that. Now if I open the activities, there's that activity I just created. And then I can also complete that activity, remember?
Mm-hmm.
So your foursquare gives you a lot of capabilities for these quick items. So I'm going to move off of this contact. I'm going to show you another quick little trick. Okay, so I'm on a different contact. You see this little window with the arrow?
Yeah.
That will open that contact in the web client. So if I click that, it depends on, I think this actually opens Firefox. Yeah, it depends on your default browser, right? So it pulls up the default browser, and this image has Firefox set as a default, but it pulls up that contact. See that?
Well, even if you have it open on if you have it open on Explorer, and you click on the thing in your Outlook, it'll go and open up a brand new window.
Only if my default browser was set to Internet Explorer, it would have opened up the one that currently was open. But since my default on this image is the Firefox, it uses the system. So it goes to look at what's your default browser, and it's going to open that default browser.
Okay.
Okay. You also have up here at the top, you have a go to CRM. So see, this is view the entity in CRM. So I click on that one, it'll do the same thing, right? So that is the XBAR, in a quick view. If you notice up here at the top, you have some additional little, I call them tabs, I guess you would call them. If I go to an email with multiple people on it, and there we go. Okay, so here we have a CC. So I can look at all the people on the email. So I can look at all. It lists both people on the email. Notice the VM admin is not in the CRM where Paul is, right? Or I can just look at the from person, right? It's from Paul, so I have his information. Or I can look at the to person, right? Or if there's a CC person, I can see the CC person. So you can actually break it down across these tabs, okay?
Okay.
And the Foursquare gives you the ability to do all, most of I think you're going to be doing here is the activities, and then maybe adding new contacts or updating contacts, that type of thing. I think the rest of these are going to be, you know, you're not going to be using them right off the bat anyway. So that is pretty much it. You probably can't see these icons. There's actually some icons here. I'm not sure how well they show up to you, but I can click on, if there is anything, I can click on it and it will show me. Let's see if she has okay. See how they light up?
Yeah.
Versus dark. So that tells you that there's something, it's like a quick bar, right? So it tells you, even though you can look at them and say, oh yes, there's activities, I can also see here that there's past due activities. So if I click that, it'll take me to the past due activities, and then I'm going to go back up here, right? Or this one means that there's opportunities associated with this user. So I can go and see all the opportunities, right? And if I go back, then I also have any tickets that are associated with this person. So there's icons. There's a calendar icon. There's that past due activities. And then there's recent history. So if there's something recently created on them, this would show up. So it only lights up when there is something available for that option. Okay?
Okay.
I can click, I mean, yes, you can, reply email, right? But I can also click on the link and it'll throw me a new email, right? I can click on the account link and it will show me the account information versus the contact information. So this is an account summary. I can edit that. So if I click the little edit button here, I can edit the information on that account, address, phone numbers, that type of thing. I can also, here's that little jump button, so I can go to the account in the system. It'll show any activities that are open for that account, right? They're specific to the contact, but they're also under the account, so I can see everything that's open on that account itself. And there is a more button, so that tells you there's more records to be shown. You can see the list of opportunities, list of tickets, and all the contacts. So here's even a list of all the contacts on that. It even shows some of the attachments. So here's that attachment I just put in, right? So I can actually open it from here. Boom, there's that attachment. So you can actually see attachments. So that's the account level link. I can see that there's some, so if I go back, do you see how I've got like a 3?
Yeah.
Right? So that's telling me that there's 3 emails in the system with the same email address. So if I click on that, it's going to give me that there's a contact, there's a lead, and then there's just a user for this one email address. So it tells you that there's duplicates. So it gives you a little duplicate checking on that also, which is kind of nice. Okay. Let's see. See if I have, let's show you. So if you're currently using the Outlook integration, you know about the Send to CRM, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so your new emails now will still show that exactly the way it was before. See, drag and drop, highlight a history item and send it to email. copy incoming, drag and drop. We launched an email from CRM. We sent one to CRM. And that is the end of this one. And then we're about at our end of our time here. But one thing I do need to show you on the client is the mail merge, right? So you use your quotes and that information. So we are currently working on customizing the quote detail report.
Yep.
And I'm going to show you you're going to be managing your quotes at this point. So one of the things is the right menu. So you have templates and letters that you're going to email to your contacts. So that is in the same place as you currently have it, as far as on your taskbar where you can write and mail merge. And that looks pretty much the same as the way it was before. What I want, something that is new, is the quotes. So you're going to be using a quote form and products in the system. So it's going to automatically generate a quote that you're going to send out to the customers in PDF form. Okay. So the quotes is just another item where, like I said, I put in a new quote. If I'm on an account, it's going to pick that account automatically, or you can change that to, whatever account that you need it to be for. Okay. And you can set up, status. If you do start using opportunities, you can link it to an opportunity. You can create the quote straight from the opportunity. So if you have an opportunity and you entered all your products onto that opportunity, and then you create a quote from the opportunity, it's going to pull all that information automatically, including your products and your pricing, and insert the quote for you. So that becomes automatic coming from that angle. Or you can come from this side where you just have a standalone quote. You can set your expiration date. So it seems like most generally it's like 30 days. You can do your save, and just like your contacts, you can do a save and new also. So if you have multiple quotes to enter. So I'm just going to hit save, and that pulls me up to the quote detail screen. So the quote detail screen has some areas that you will want to fill out for your quote to show correctly. Number one is going to be products. You want to make sure that you enter your products and your pricing, because your quote is then going to do all the math for you. So I go to the products tab, right? And I'm going to click the plus sign because I'm adding new products. So these will be loaded in your system based on your products specifically with your pricing and your codes. So then I'm just going to hold my control key down, and I'm going to select multiple products that this customer is ordering. And I'm going to add the selected products.
One question. Is there an ability to have separate lists from which you pick your products, or is it all one big list?
You can, okay, so did you notice how I had this lookup up here?
Yeah.
You can change that.
So
okay,
my question is, we have two entities within our company, and one is one name and one is another name. How do is it one big list that gets uploaded, but the name has to be different in the upload? So one is BT and one is Drake. It's one big spreadsheet, but then when you look up by status and you're looking up for Drake, you just put, I want to look up Drake products.
So what I would do, I would recommend using the family or something along those lines to identify that difference, because then you can do that. And then if I put in Drake and do a search, it's not going to pull up anything, of course. Okay, it did. But if I do a search, then it's going to filter based on that specific listing, right? So you can filter and shorten your list.
Okay, so just know Phil and Tom and whoever's going to do quotes in here, you will have to look up the...
That's actually a good thing, Liz, because we would be able to add things from the other company or the sister company.
Yep. Yeah.
So and I assume each line item you could assign a different discount to, which is kind of important because we use different discount structures. But anyway, I'm sure you're going to get to that. I did want to make one note. I've got to drop off here in just a few minutes. I have an appointment coming up. So when you see me disappear, I won't say any more. This is Jeff, by the way.
Okay. All right, no problem. So one thing, so I added those products. But one thing I want to show you is you have the ability, they have grid editable. So instead of having to go into each line and change this, you can actually just click on the item itself and add it, okay? And then it automatically extends your price.
And per Jeff's question, you can separate out like the discounts per line.
Yes. So if I go in and edit, discount charges. The reason why this one's a little funny is because this has ERP integration enabled. So yes, you can, and you can configure, which I sent you email on that yesterday. Let me pull that up. Oops. So I sent okay. So yeah, so if the ERP integration, because it's specific to the accounting side, it limits the ability to do anything in a client that the accounting side actually controls. So there's pieces here that do not show up. So if you look at this form here, so here's the top part of the quote where you have a discount, shipping, and tax. So you can actually configure, and this will show up in your system. So you will configure you can configure the discount, shipping, and tax on the quote, and you see the difference here. It doesn't show up here because this image is integrated with, or is set up for an integration with ERP. So it takes that away because the ERP manages that rather than a user managing it, right? So there's a difference. So if I look down here at the bottom, this is where that pop out is for these three items. Here they are. So the one above that is where I've actually set those to a 7% tax. I set 25 base shipping on it and a discount, right? So that's where that difference would be. And I didn't show the products, but it does show a discount column on the products also.
Okay.
Okay. So once you've got your products in, you've got your quantities, you've got your pricing the way you need it to be, you need to set up your ship to and bill to. And again, this is not going to work well because of it being ERP related. Because it has ERP bill to, ERP ship tos. But it will take information from the account and contact. Let's see if I can change this. So if I do a ship to, I'll do a search. Yeah. It's not going to pull anything because that's an ERP table. But we can, I think what would be a good idea, especially since it's a whole new process, is to create a test account in the system and let the users beat it up, right? Play with it, set up new quotes, add items, and that would be one that you could then delete after everybody's tested and feels comfortable with the new process. And then that would be, I think, the better way to manage this new process. Liz, do you agree?
Yeah, I think we can do that. That's not a problem.
Okay. That way they can do it without worrying about messing something up, right? So let's say this quote is ready. I've got my ship to, my bill to, I've got my products, I've got my information that I need on this, any additional comments. So comments do show on the quote, okay? everything is saved. So I'm going to make sure everything is saved and ready. Now I need to create the quote. So normally when you create the quote, you'd go up to a mail merge, or you'd have your own document that you would then have to add all the products to. Now all you have to do is click this link over here called Detail Report. So I click this Detail Report, and it is going to run through the report, and it's going to take all this information and automatically create a PDF for me. So I click the link once I've ran the report, and it's going to show up down here at the bottom, right? And you can open it or do a save as. For this case, I'm just going to open it. And this is the PDF. Now, this is the part that Liz and I are working on. So we're going to have your logo, and you're going to see the ship to and bill to address and person name here. We're going to add a few fields here, but you can see that it's got, you know, the quote and the header information. And then this is the part that's very handy, is it takes all my information and it totals it down. And there's the discount. Well, I didn't fill in all my numbers, but it totals it down, which I actually showed. Here's one that looks a little bit better. So you can see it actually has information on the ship to bill to, right? And then it has the quantity and the products listed here. And you can see here it does all the math, right?
Yep.
And then we're going to put some disclaimers down here at the bottom, and whatever text that you need to add, we're going to be working with that one. But it does all the math for you and puts all the information in here based on the products that you have entered into the quote. So basically, all your work is done on the quote form itself, and then when you run that report, it's just a deliverable, right? So you don't have to do any more to it. You don't have to add anything else to it. It'll be ready to deliver to the customer, and it will be consistent on format and layout to the customer.
With QuoteWorks, we had the capability of revising existing quotes. Is that something that we have with this as well, or do you have to do a new quote?
What you will do then is you will either do, this will be a process that Liz and John will have to define, but you will either create a new quote, or you will come in and edit the current quote, rerun your detail report. Okay? So when you create a report, it shows up here in the attachments. So that means that as you run, you know, changes to your quote, you'll be able to see and track the changes and the modifications that are made.
So it'll give it like either a -1, or it'll have some denotation over this is the original, this is the revised, I presume?
It's dated, so it's today's date with the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll be able to tell, you know, and you can sort by these columns, right? So you can find the most recent versus the oldest one, that
Mm-hmm.
type of thing. So yes, it does define the differences. Okay? So that's the new quote process, you know, in a nutshell. That's what's going to replace that QuoteWorks. Like I said, Liz and I are working together to get that display to show the fields and logos and that type of thing that's needed. Does anybody have any questions on that piece of the process?
Nope.
Bill, you're good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Okay, so the next thing I want to show you real quick, I know we're running over on time a little bit here, but I think it's important for you to see this, is the mobile client. This is the client that we were talking about, the iPhone, remember, we're talking about iPhone. So I do have an emulator I can use, but I'm just going to use the web client or the web browser so that I can show you where you can see, you know, size-wise here. So it is literally just a URL. So if I pull this open, you can see the only difference between this one and the client URL is these last little words right here in the end. Here it says SLX Mobile. This one says SLX Client. So that's the only difference between the two. Okay. It's not an app. It's a browser. So you can open this up on any browser in your system. So this is the way it's going to look. You're going to sign in, and the mobile client is it's made for touchpad and bigger buttons. You don't have everything in here that you have on the web client, but you have the majority. Okay, so you have your right-hand toolbar, and you have your this is the left-hand toolbar and right-hand toolbar. This is where your navigation. So just like in the web client, your navigation's on the left. The navigation's on the left in the mobile client also. So we have the accounts, contacts. You can get to your activities. You can look at your schedule. You can look at your attachments. So we're going to look at accounts first. So when you first log in, the system is not set up. So when you first log into the mobile client, I should say it's not set up, you have to configure your groups. And you go to the right-hand side, the three dots, and you click Configure. What that means is you're saying, what groups do you want to show in your mobile client? So you choose this. You can do, so all accounts is showing up here. We can do the My is a very common one, right? Or any of these groups, you can add them. And then check mark means you accept the changes. The crossbar means that you've canceled the changes. So I'm just going to hit OK. Now if I go in, now see I added those groups, right? So now they're available for me to click on. So I can actually click on one and it'll change to that group. Make sense?
Yep.
And you want to do that for your contacts, your accounts. You want to do that for both levels. But as you see here, you can see that I can actually see the account. I can see a summary view, right? So if I click on this little building button, I can see some quick looks, quick see or tasks that I want to run for this one. I can actually click into this account. We have tabs. So you have additional details, which would be the contact or account information. Dashboards, this one is ERP related, so you will not see that. This one also is ERP related. Related items would be the child of the account. So contacts, activities, opportunities, notes in history, tickets, that type of thing. So anything that's in a tab view would be under your related items on the account. Okay. Up here at the top, you have quick tasks that you can work for, that will work for the account level. And this is context related. This will change once you're on the contact level. Some of them are the same, but some of them will change. If I want to go to any of these secondary tabs, all I have to do is click on them, right? So I can go to the contacts just by clicking on the contacts level. As you can see, the buttons are bigger, right? They don't really have the little buttons. You got the bigger ones because that's for finger touch. So there's one contact in this account, and I can actually see it. And then if I click my little person, here's some common tools I can use for that contact account. You can dial. So you see I have the phone number. If I'm on the phone, I can actually click this and dial that number. I can go to that contact just by clicking on it. Again, I have some related items and ERP. If I go to the related, now it gives me anything related to the contact under these items. There's one more attachment. More details would be like, additional contact detail pieces. So if I go to My Activities. So this is something you'll probably be wanting to use. Let me go over here. So let's go. I have nothing to show. I can add one. Let's add one. Got it to do. So here's, you can use the pick list or you can add text and add notes here, right? Location, just like on the web client. Priority, category, just like on the web client. So it's just a pick list, right? So I can choose. If I scroll down, so you see the fields are a lot larger because you're using it on a smaller device. I can set it up to recurring. Everything that you have available in the web client, you have available here. You can even do reminders, auto rollover. If you remember, that was a option. Change the leader, right? I can change my account and contact. I can link it to an opportunity and ticket. If you notice, though, what do you not see? The additional people.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? You don't have that capability in the mobile. Most of the other stuff, but just not the additional.
Okay. And anything you do on the mobile obviously gets saved to the cloud.
Correct. It's all the same. It's all going to the same database.
Yay.
So you can set up meetings, phone calls, activities. If I had some, I could see them. There we go. So here is one activity. So it was set in the alarm. So go away. Oh, there we go. It was due 6 months ago. That's a little old. But you can see there's some icons down here, right? So it's telling me, because it's lit up, that this one is past due, and then it has an alarm on it. Oops. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, you have the little back button, right? So this one takes you to My Activities. This one is like some quick links, takes you to activity information. See, this one is just clicking into the activity information. But you can call it, if I click into it, it rolls into the details, and I've got more details. So just a little more of the pieces for that activity itself, any attachments it might have. But it does allow you to complete that. So I can see, this takes me to the activity, and here's my complete button. So I can complete it here. Okay?
Yep.
So we really hadn't decided if we were going to do this or not, but there is an offline capability in the mobile client, and it allows you to add accounts and contacts, opportunities, that sort of thing, into what they call a briefcase. So this briefcase will show up here in this left navigation bar as it's my briefcase, and you can go in and you can clear that. But it's like a favorite. So it saves those records into the briefcase so that you can access them when you don't have mobile connectivity. Now, the only issue with that is that's the only ones you can do, and it's read-only. So it's literally just a way for you to reference the information so that you can use it if you can't get mobile connectivity, like for phone numbers, addresses, that type of thing. But you can't make any changes. You can't add any records to it. So it doesn't like sync up later on after you get connectivity. But it does allow you to refer to data, to like a cached page. You can actually go in and see it and work with it, or look at it, but you can't work with it. Okay, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
We don't have it turned on in this image because once you turn on the offline web client, mobile client, you cannot open it in a standard PC web page. You can only open it on a mobile client because it's looking for the mobile cache. we don't have mobile cache on a standard browser for a PC. So that's why I can't show you the little briefcase. So basically, it shows a little briefcase, so you can say, this record I want to put in my briefcase. So you just click that briefcase, it saves that record over into your briefcase, and then you can access it once you're offline. Okay.
Cool.
So it's something that has to be configured. It's a quick configure, but you just have to configure it. And we don't do it unless it's requested.
Okay.
So that's something to think about. If you think any of your users might run into problems with connectivity, that would be handy to have that. So does anybody have any questions on the mobile client? The mobile client's pretty, pretty simple, and it's meant to be simple because you're working on it, while you're running around. So it's got the common tools. You can add notes, you can add activities, you can call somebody, you can map, right? So it's got mapping. Again, I have to be in the on the client, but see how it's a link? So if you're in the mobile client on your phone and you click this, it actually, oh well, looks like it's going to work. It'll actually go to your default mapping, so it'll map for you.
Cool.
Okay. All good stuff as far as that goes. You do have speech to text. Sorry, is that right? Speech to text? Yeah. So you can speak your notes into your mobile client, and it'll write them. Of course, just like any other voice to text, it hears what it wants to hear, right? But it does work. So you can do that functionality, which is nice, especially if you're driving in your car and you just want to write a note to a customer. You can do that. All right, so do you have any questions on the mobile client?
I think we're good on our end. Anybody?
I was kind of wondering, I don't know much about this kind of stuff, but how much data does it take, when you're out using a cell phone or an iPad and using this stuff? How much memory do you need in your phone, and then how much data are you using on your phone plan? Does anybody know kind of like a reference on this?
I don't. I don't have any information as far as how much throughput it's using, megabytes and that type of thing. Of course, it's going to be relative to how much you use it, but it's just pulling data. So it doesn't have like heavy videos or that type of thing. So that's, fairly small footprint as far as that goes. But I don't have a number I can give you. But I can say that as far as using a room on your phone, your memory, that type of thing, it's not an app, so it doesn't install anything on your system. The only thing you would have would be any cache, any histories where you've gone through your system. That's the only place it's going to put anything is on your browser cache.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess it won't hurt to try it then, huh?
Yeah, and if you have to, you can just clear your cache.
Yep.
Does anybody? Okay, so I think, let me look at my page. Not that one. I think I have you gone through. And you'll be sending all this, so you'll have some information here, give you some instructions on. I know I ran through it pretty quickly, so this will help you review the steps to completing all the activities and working in the mobile, working in the client, and then this also has some XBAR stuff. So if I go clear up to the top, there's some Outlook information. That's just scheduling. I thought there was some XBAR. No, just a mobile client. Mobile, okay, there's no XBAR pictures. I think the XBAR pictures are on my other PDF, but you'll be getting these, so you'll have some reference material.
Great.
Okay, so I think I'm good. If anybody else has any questions, just let me know. Otherwise, if I'm sure the questions are going to start coming once when you have ability to get on the system.
I'm sure that will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think these documents, and then remember your web help. You can use your help at any time, and there's a lot of good starting guides in there. So that's going to also help you out. It's nice that you already have some understanding of how the system works together, since you currently work with the land client. So that's going to be helpful in just working through the new system. And I think at that point, it's just going to be, where's it at in my new system, right?
Yep.
And I think that web client help's going to help you a lot, and these PDFs I'm going to send you are going to help. So Liz, I'll probably forward you these PDFs and then let you hand them out to everybody.
That's fine.
Okay. And, just let Liz know if you have any questions or need any help with anything, and we'll definitely be there to help out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Terry.
Thanks a
Thanks,
lot.
everybody. Have a great day.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye-bye.
Bye.